What's going on, Wisco? Jill's the first one in the house this evening. Thanks for stopping by, Jill. Appreciate you. Shout out to everybody for making it through the hump day. Happy Wednesday. Um, Hopefully your day went well. It's a little hectic around here, but getting ready for that baby. Super excited. So, thanks for stopping out. It's another episode of the podcast. Stay elevated. Stay informed. Before we get rolling too fast here, I want to give a quick shout out to the folks who make this thing possible. Shout out to Higher Love. If you are anywhere near the UP, or even if you're down there in Milwaukee, I suggest to drive up there. Use that promo code we got in the comments for you. Saves you on that purchase your first time checking them out. We also got their menu in the comments as well. You can check it out on their website. Thank you, Jill. Appreciate that. Heath says, how's it going? Pretty well, sir. How are you doing over there? Hopefully, the craziness of the world is not taking over your daily life too much. Seems to be getting a little crazier out there every day, but lots of things popping off as far as everything goes. Reminder, we got 5 Minute in the Pines coming up. That's August 15th through the 18th. That is in Roseholt, Wisconsin. Looks to be over there by the Stevens Point area, not too far from there. So looking forward to that. We've got the event link. We'll drop that in the comments for you here. Paste. There we go. And then also the Great Midwest Hemp Fest. Again, that's at James Madison Park this year. Make sure you check out the tickets. Get those ahead of time. Excuse me. They did have to charge this year, it looks like. But there's no charge for the March to the Capitol. That's on the 29th of September, the March. Pending Baby Beans is not pouring that day. I will be there. And looking forward to the other guest speakers that'll be out there. We're going to be making some noise, causing a ruckus. That's how we roll. Peacefully, of course. We got a couple interesting articles out there in the world. What we're trying to look at here is probably doing like guests on Mondays. Next week, Monday, we'll have some folks from the Hemp Fest here, so looking forward to that. We had an awesome show this past Monday with Michael Plumhoff. Appreciate him stopping out and the different perspectives he brings on things, and look forward to collabing with him in the future. I like the idea of the polling. We need to get something rolling, and to me, that makes sense. We need to hit these folks with data, and what's better? To me, there's nothing better than the data right from, how the voters feel on the topics instead of, it's hard when obviously we know the majority is for it, but we need to hit them with the data. Hey, 84% of your constituents are for it. What do we tell them is the reason why you're not moving forward with this? That kind of thing. So looking forward to that. We'll keep you posted on that. So let's get rolling with some news here. We're trying a little new. This should be pretty slick. Let's see if I add the stage. Yeah, it did work. Sweet. Usually I shadow my screen. It's a technicality. Things are getting a little slicker over here in the Bean studio. So I just want to make sure it still popped up. So as far as the news goes, for cannabis around the U.S. is mainly where we're at. Looks like another Texas judge upholds local marijuana decrim law, rejecting GOP Attorney General's lawsuit. GOP, I don't know where the issue with the GOP lies across the states. Need to get to the bottom of it. It is silly. So I wanted to see what they're dealing with down there. Obviously, unfortunately, might be some stuff we're looking at over here in Wisconsin when it comes to people such as Robin Voss and such overseeing any kind of politics in Wisconsin when it comes to cannabis. So it looks like another Texas district judge had dismissed a lawsuit from the state's Republican Attorney General. The Attorney General, for those who didn't know out there, has been trying to overturn a local marijuana decrim ordinance. Ground Game Texas is the advocacy group behind the cannabis measure. Announced on Tuesday that Hayes County District Judge Sherry Tibby dismissed the suit from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, enabling the city to continue implementing the decriminalization policy that voters approved in 2022. The Paxton had filed a lawsuit in January challenging local decriminalization laws that were enacted in 5 cities. So just a quick thing here, folks. This is potentially something we could be looking at in Wisconsin. If the Republicans keep a majority of the House, Senate, and things keep getting stalled out, especially when it comes to cannabis, then there is hope for something similar to like a county ordinance, or in this case, we're talking cities. So this could be potentially a very big deal that we've got 5 cities that are looking to do decriminalization. Looks like Austin, San Marcos, Kellen, Elgin, and Denton were the cities. And again, this is just decrim, but there's also thoughts that you could potentially do something like this for setting up sales of cannabis. So we'll keep an eye on that. Jill says Clark County needs education, right? They are one of the people on the list that every 2 weeks when we hit up the senators and the representatives, but I have not heard anything back from them, folks. So make sure you stay on their case, try to figure out where they're at out there, and if you can get them to allow us to educate them, we are more than willing and ready. So it looks like here they've got the police, in turn, were able to more effectively allocate resources. Because of this, they pointed out that supporting the dismissal of the lawsuit since the city enacted the reform, marijuana possession cases have fallen by 85%, with no adverse public safety implications. That is huge, and that's what we're looking at in Wisconsin. Let's get these police officers able to get to the crazy stuff that's going on out there. They're being stretched so thin, and most of it is over silly cannabis that it's silly. All right, it makes no sense that we're wasting this much time, effort, losing out on the sales, the jobs. We talk about this night in and night out for those folks who are new to this, stopping in for their first time. It's just mind-boggling. This looks like the second time that cannabis decriminalization has gone the way of the people when Ken Paxton has tried to step in. So it'd be interesting to watch some of the language they use in their legislation out there, because again, we might be running into something similar over here in Wisconsin. I'll have to keep an eye out on that and see how things shake out here. It looks like they've got the judge's actions as well as the recent certification of signatures to put decriminalization on the ballot in Dallas this November, which is awesome. Again, unfortunately, in Wisconsin, we can't do that. We do not have the ballot initiative. Doesn't make any sense. Hopefully, we can figure out a way to get the state Supreme Court involved, because this, to me, is how it should be. The people get a say. This is fair and just. It just makes sense, folks. But it looks like they're touting this as not just a win for the city, but also for all the communities that are striving to uphold justice and local governance free from unwarranted state interference. Bingo. Obviously, we have a lot of state interference over here in Wisconsin, and it needs to stop. It's ridiculous. So just looking at some of the advocacy groups here, they were collecting the signatures. Looks like votes in Lubbock rejected a separate cannabis reform initiative last month, unfortunately. And then their governor, Greg Abbott, has separately lashed out against the municipal cannabis reform efforts. So they still very much have an issue over there in Texas. I shouldn't say over there, down there in Texas with the Republicans. We'll have to keep an eye on things, see how it shakes out for them. But when our folks get back to being in session and hopefully able to listen to the voice of the people, I think we'll want to keep an eye on what they're doing down there and how we can translate that up here in the north. So moving along, we got a Congressional committee again blocks amendment to prevent marijuana testing of federal job applicants. We had been following this here for a couple of weeks. It had been gaining some steam to hopefully end the nonsense here at the federal level. Starting with the federal jobs, I think that would be a great starting point, because I feel like other sectors, the private sectors, that state sectors, that kind of thing, would start to follow suit. But I wanted to dive in a little bit to what happened here, where the wheels came off. I'm going to guess it was a certain party that was intervening here, but let's see what they got going on here. Looks like a House committee rejected another pair of marijuana amendments from floor consideration as part of large-scale spending bills, this time blocking the proposals that would have prevented the covered agencies from using their funds, to test federal job applicants for cannabis. So it looks like the House committee on Monday declined to make an order The marijuana measures as part of 2025 appropriations legislation for the Department of the Interior, Environment, and related agencies, and water development and related agencies. So they've got a couple co-sponsors here, and it says here, done with the numerous prior proposals he's filed to spending bills over the past year, the committee has consistently prevented them from advocating to the floor, however. The SEC, so this is where the text of the proposal that got rejected, here's the text of it. None of the funds made available by this act may be used to test an applicant for marijuana, except for positions listed as presumptive testing designated positions by the selection of testing designated positions guidance under federal drug-free workplace program established pursuant to Executive Order 12564. And then it lists out the states. Wisconsin would have been one of them. It's just about all the states, it looks like. There's a wealthy list of them here. The Rules Committee last month rejected multiple marijuana-related amendments to a series of spending bills, including 3 of Garcia's proposals to ban certain federal agencies from testing job applicants for cannabis, and another to prevent Border Patrol agents from seizing marijuana from state licensed businesses. If you remember, man, time's really just flying by. It feels like a couple weeks ago, but I think it was more like a couple months ago now. We were getting updated on the situation in New Mexico where these folks are doing everything legitimately, but they're still getting stopped with their legal products that they're growing, making, and trying to get to their different dispensaries. So it looks like that one got sent up in flames here as well. The same committee did allow amendments to another spending bill to go to the floor, and that would authorize the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs doctors to issue medical marijuana recommendations to military veterans and support psychedelics research and access. Those proposals passed the full House last month as part of appropriations legislations. So yeah, it looks like the House Committee of Rule is also scheduled on Monday to take up appropriation bills covering a few different things, including the FDA, the rural development, agriculture, that kind of stuff, with another set of cannabis-related amendments for members to consider. But they were pulled from the agenda amid disagreement about unrelated provisions. So there should be, folks. It's happening more and more. But what's interesting is they don't go into, like, here's why we are against it. Again, if any one of these folks could have a legitimate concern or something that we couldn't, or they couldn't discuss, like, why are people hiding why they are not letting these kinds of things happen? That is probably the most frustrating thing, because there has to be something that's why they won't, because people would be able to piece together, like, these aren't legit concerns. There is something else going on. That's the only thing I can come up with. A couple more amendments that were filed here for the AG and FDA would strike provisions that would ban most consumable hemp products. One of the amendments is led by while the other is sponsored by the rider enforced the current restriction. It's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo here, folks. And again, to me, it's interesting that something like this isn't just its own thing. Why don't you just vote on this subject, talk about this subject? It's always like a rider or tied to a bill, and then, oh, well, that didn't make it to the bill, or this, that's. It's just, it's silly. It's politics. It's money under the table. It's something that they are not being truthful about. So we will continue to do our part and discuss it and try to get the word out there, because this just needs to stop. This is silly. So unfortunately, though, it looks like there is a holdup on that for the federal workers as far as the outlook on that. I know we've been following that one for a minute. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it. But as of right now, it looks like it's been tossed aside, and they're moving forward with other parts of that. So another unfortunate situation. This was good to see. Strong majority of marijuana rescheduling public comment support even broader reform than Biden's plan. People were able to, looks like they were able to figure out a way to analyze the tens of thousands of public comments filed about the federal government's plan to move marijuana to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substance Act. indicate that the bulk of submissions on the proposal came in support of cannabis reform. In fact, most commenters said marijuana should be removed from CSA completely instead of just being rescheduled. Amen. Let's go. According to one report from an industry analytics firm, Headset, approximately 35% of comments submitted to the DEA by Monday's deadline agreed with the Biden administration plan for marijuana to be rescheduled. But most, 55%, said cannabis should be entirely descheduled. That's awesome to hear. That's almost double the amount of folks. I'm glad to hear that. That is awesome. Listen to the people. We elect you. Jay's in here. What's up, Jay? Thanks for swinging by, buddy. Only 8% of comments said the substance should remain in Schedule 1. There's a quote here. These numbers paint a clear picture. Over 9 out of 10 individuals who took the time to comment believe that cannabis should not remain a Schedule 1 substance. 9 out of 10. Headset said in a post about the results, moreover, the majority of commenters went beyond the proposed rescheduling to Schedule 3, arguing for complete removal from the controlled substance list. Yeah, that's beautiful. The group said turnout during the public comment period, which began in May and ended on Monday, has shattered previous DEA records, surpassing even the highly 2020 telemedicine rules that garnered approximately 38,000 comments. Marijuana rescheduling, by comparison, drew nearly 43,000. So that is a significant amount of folks. Thank you for those who took the time to fill that out. On every single day of the public comment period, submissions in favor of moving marijuana out of Schedule 1 outweighed those opposed to reform, according to the report. And then they also, looks like they found a separate analysis of the comments here conducted by the advocacy group Drug Policy Alliance. Concluded that 69% of comments support federally decriminalizing marijuana or descheduling it. According to the DPA's analysis, nearly a quarter of all comments filed on the docket were submitted through a tool hosted by the group United for Marijuana Decriminalization, of which DPA is a key member. Those comments were the result of months of grassroots efforts to communities that have been impacted by marijuana criminalization, the group said. Looks like they found that 42% mentioned the need for federal marijuana reform to advance racial justice or social equity. We hit on that all the time. That's true. Kat Parker, the DPA's director of drug markets and legal regulation and a former cannabis regulator in Los Angeles, said in a statement that the comments represent Americans who participated in the public comment process, demand more than just rescheduling, but 42% recognize that ending federal criminalization is key to achieving racial justice and social equity. This is something the Biden administration has repeatedly identified as a priority in the marijuana reform efforts. Again, hopefully we see that actually come to fruition. Excuse me. And it's not just a vote getter maneuver. That's what we're going to call it, a vote getter maneuver. Keep your eyes out for those. They seem to be everywhere. So that's awesome to hear. Again, hopefully these actually get looked at and taken for what they are, which is the voice of the people who put these people into office, and they actually get listened to there. So if they look at it, which should be in our favor. So we will keep an eye on that, as they are now going to be in that review process of those comments that they gathered. So let's keep an eye on that. And we've got one more article here. We've got the Federal Safety Board says marijuana rescheduling could imperil truck driver drug testing, despite Transportation Secretary's assurances. We've been hearing the battle of the truck drivers for some time. So I thought it'd be interesting to see what they've got here. But basically what it's the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, they are warning that marijuana rescheduling could create a blind spot with respect to drug testing of federally regulated workers in safety-sensitive positions, despite assurances last month from U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg that the cannabis rescheduling proposal would not alter the federal drug testing requirements. Sounds like a sticky situation, so I thought we would dive into this to see if it is a little more cut and dry for us to be able to try and figure out. What it looks like they're saying here is that it could imperil federally required drug testing for airline pilots, truck drivers, and many others in safety sensitive positions. Moving marijuana to Schedule 3 without taking steps to ensure that marijuana testing remains within the scope of pre-employment, random, reasonable suspicion, and post-accident drug testing would create a safety blind spot, the board said. That NTSB is concerned that the proposed rule to move to Schedule 3 would, upon becoming effective, immediately prohibit continued testing of safety-sensitive transportation employees for marijuana use. I see where they're trying to say the issue would be. They are saying that basically they would not be able to test people because it would now no longer be such a voodoo thing. It would no longer be the Schedule 1 super bad drug. It would be moved down to the Schedule 3, more like your steroids and stuff. So they wouldn't be able to justify people passing or failing those tests and that being a legitimate tool that's going to tell you if somebody, you know what I mean? So yeah, it looks like here they're saying the board is urging the DEA to ensure that any final rule to reschedule does not compromise marijuana testing under DOT and HHS procedures applicable to safety sensitive transportation employees. In a hearing late last month with congressional lawmakers, however, Buttigieg said that DOT specifically lists marijuana as substance to screen for. Even if rescheduling were to take place, he said, that wouldn't change the DOT's testing rules. So they tried to reach out to the DOT in this article, but they did not respond immediately to a request for comments. So there looks like there's hearing, responding to the question. So yeah, it sounds like there is some paths getting crossed here as far as how things would actually be moving forward if things were to go to the Schedule 3. This folks here said the rescheduling and deregulation of marijuana would inevitably cause a number of people driving impaired while high to grow. While high to grow? Oh, I shoot. I was thinking of growing cannabis. What a putz. They're saying it would increase. Can you speak to what your department's doing to ensure that transportation workers in safety reliant positions can continue to be tested for marijuana use if the proposal goes forward, and how your department plans to address transportation safety in light of DOJ rulemaking? Buttigieg replied that any impaired driving via alcohol, marijuana, or any other source of impairment is, of course, a major safety concern. Likewise, I should mention for federal employees, including any DOT employees who have a security clearance or safety-sensitive position, we do not understand that to be changed. Interesting. Again, this kind of all comes down to the way we test. If you're to have some super sensitive load that you got to have these special drivers for, so they can't be using cannabis at all, even if they are, resting or looking to relieve some pain. I don't know about you guys, but if I sit in a car and go for a ride for like anything over an hour, my back goes haywire, my knee starts to get like I need to move it, go for a walk or something. So if these folks are driving 7-8 hours a day, I can imagine cannabis would probably be pretty helpful for a few different things for them, including pain, anxiety, that kind of stuff. Do people need to drive high? No, probably not. That probably wouldn't be a good thing. But the fact that we don't have a test yet that can't tell you, hey, this person consumed cannabis within the last 2 or 3 hours, similar to with alcohol. I don't know the science behind it by any means. It just doesn't seem, with all the technology we have, AI, this, that, the other, but we still can't figure out a better means of testing for cannabis. Maybe that is a testament to cannabis being so closely aligned with our bodies that it's hard to tell, but man, we got to figure something out there. I know there's a few things that are in like beta testing, but man, if something like that, as far as the improved testing goes, that would really help our cause as far as, that's one of your biggest complaints is how do we know that people are high or not, or people using it and it goes back 30 days. That would be a huge, no, I'm not smart enough to figure it out. But man, if we could get a think tank together of scientists and they just focus on that, there's got to be something we can do. So we'll keep an eye on that. But as of right now, it sounds like they're still doing their back and forth as well. when it comes to the truck drivers. But it sounded like there was some hope that with the Schedule 3, things would lighten up a bit. But we'll have to see how, again, this one shakes out. It's just something. Biden just called cannabis cancer moonshine. Just don't drive impaired. Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah, that's right. Biden was talking after they're talking this evening. So politics are something. Please don't get wrapped up in especially feuds with other people over politics. It's just a mess out there, folks. We are people. We are the people. We should have better options and better people who listen and actually I don't know, just please don't get in arguments with your friends, family, loved ones over it. It's not worth it, in my opinion. Again, it's just me talking here, blabbing away. I don't know, it's just crazy to me, some of the stuff that's going on out there. We got to stick together as the people. Remember that above all else. So that's all we got for today's show. Appreciate everyone swinging out. Again, reminder, next Monday, we'll have the folks from HempFest will be joining the show. I'll catch you guys again on this Friday. Looking forward to chopping it up with you guys. Hopefully, no, you're not political. You don't. No, you're good, Anna. You're good. Nope, you're good. So we'll let you guys get back to it. Thanks for swinging by for tonight's show. Enjoy your evening, and we'll catch you on Friday, folks. We're out of here. Bobby Beans. See you later.